Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Were the Beatles right when they said, all you need is love? Today on Inspired Living with Mark and Kim, we're going to be talking about just that. In fact, we're going to take it a step further and talk about the deepest love there is, the twin flame union, and all things love today, my favorite topic. I'm Kim Falcon, founder of Love First, where life transformations happen in Encino, California. If there's anything that I can do to help you live a happier and more purposeful life in the way of readings, healings, or hypnotherapy, please reach out to me at lovefirst.info. That's LOVEFIRST.info. I would love to work with you. I love the work that I do, and it's always nice to meet our listeners. With me today and every day, my co-host, the lovely Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector up in Seattle, Washington. Mark,
all you
good
need
afternoon.
Is love. Bum, 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 bum. All you need is love. You got me singing, Kim. I love it.
I know, it's a catchy song. Actually, that was a song at it's a song that we played at our wedding. So and it's the name of my business. So I'm a believer in it.
Right, Love First. Well, hey, welcome back. I know that you were on a personal soul adventure last week. We missed you on our fun Halloween special show that we had with Susan Fair. We were talking about 4 centuries of witches, and it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of stuff, but I just wanted to say welcome back. I know that you were out in Virginia. Do you want to make a big announcement for our inspired listening community?
Oh, well, goodness gracious, Mark. Okay,
put you on the spot
now I guess I do. So the exciting news is that Love First is going to be bi-coastal in just a few weeks here. I'm going to be relocating out to Virginia, the lovely state of Virginia and town of Richmond, Virginia. And it's going to be a whole new life change and experience for me. I'll still have my office here in Encino, California. So, I do plan on continuing to work with clients out here when I'm here, but I will be opening up new offices in Virginia. Ooh. So I will keep you posted on that. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. It was a real nice experience last week. I'm sorry I couldn't make the show, but it was for a good reason, and I'm happy to be back. And I'll keep everybody in the loop of this upcoming move. So,
well, congratulations, and it's going to be an awesome soul adventure for you.
Yeah, well, Mark, Inspired Living is going to be coast to coast now.
We are going coast to coast, and looking forward to what 2017 has for not only the radio show, but our own spiritual practices and what we're doing, and now going to be on both coasts. So I love that. So real quick, Kim, just wanted to get into some of the details about the show. I just posted a Facebook Live video out there on our Facebook page, Inspired Living Radio. So if you want to join in the conversation, just head over to our Facebook page right now. You can post your question for Kim, myself, or our special guests, and we do our best to try to bring those live to air if we can. But just wanted to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of our inspired listeners all around the world. Thank you so much for joining us here on another Wisdom Wednesday. I am your co-host, Mark Lanehart, the Intuitive Prospector, and I would love to do some spiritual prospecting with you. If you're in the Seattle area, Pacific Northwest, you can find me at marklanehart.com. You can find me as the OMTimes expert now on the learning platform that I'm doing through OMTimes. You can also find me at Best American Psychics and Best Psychic Directory. love to work with you on your spiritual path, spiritual living, help you be a freedompreneur, whatever you're searching for. And you can find me. I work through phone, Skype, or in person here in Seattle, Washington. Wanted to let our inspired listeners know, too, if you don't catch this live show, we're live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Just go to the internet and type in Inspired Living Radio. We pop up. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Podbean, OMTimes Radio Archives, or marklanehart.com. You can catch all of our encore shows. We've had some awesome shows, including last week's show, which was about witches. It was our Halloween special. The week before that, we had Mastin Kip, which was a lot of fun. And again, if you want to follow us on social media, check us out on Facebook under Inspired Living Radio, Twitter and Instagram at Inspired For Us, that's the number 4, and Google Plus communities under Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim. I wanted to also let our inspired listeners know before we get to our very special guest talking all about twin flames and what is twin flames. I wanted to give our new positive affirmation for the month of November. It's hard to believe that we're already in the month of November, and 2016 is working its way out, and 2017 is just right around the corner. But this month's positive affirmation is, I acknowledge all things I'm doing well. I acknowledge all the things I'm doing well. And that's our Inspired Living Radio positive affirmation. So, Kim, real quick, wanted to also announce I'm doing my first public spiritual prospecting and mediumship demonstration this Saturday, November 5th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I think, Kim, we're going to be doing more of these as we go bi-coastal, more workshops, more demonstrations, more galleries, spiritual circles. But I'm going to be in Arlington, Washington, so just giving a shout-out to the store owner, Shelley Smith, and A Path to Avalon, who has graciously hosted me for this 2-hour event. So if you want to find out more, just head to marklanehart.com to get your ticket. It's $25, and I'm going to be doing prospecting spiritually and also doing a mediumship demonstration. First time I've actually stepped out into the public, so I'm very excited to be doing this finally and stand up and work for spirit. We also have a monthly contest that we're rolling out in the month of November. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to get you on being inspired and getting involved in our Inspired Living community. It's going to be, if you post anything to our Inspired Living Radio page and you use the hashtags Inspired Living Radio or ILR, you can be entered in at the end of this month for a drawing, and this month it's going to be an oracle deck from one of our guests that's coming up. You'll have a chance to win free books, free decks, free meditation CDs, a reading with Kim or myself every month, and we're just trying to get our Inspired Listening community a little bit more engaged with our social media pages. If you sign up for our newsletter, you can also be entered in to win, and every time you post on our page, it counts as a vote, and at the end of the month, we will pick one lucky inspired listener to win whatever it is for that month, and this month it's going to be a free oracle deck from one of our upcoming guests. They're beautiful cards. I've got a personal deck from her, and they are awesome. So if you want to sign up for the newsletter, just head over to marklanehart.com, look for Soul Adventures newsletter, sign up, and you'll be entered to win. And Kim, your newsletter?
Yes, my newsletter you can sign up on my own website at lovefirst.info, and I am going to be putting one out here in the very short term, Mark.
I know, it's already November. I'm already behind the 8 ball.
It's already November.
I know.
Yeah, so sign up for our newsletters. We're so happy you're with us today, and we are so excited about our guest. The Reverend Jennith Lynn is an internationally known intuitive empath, angelic psychic medium, energy healer, and illusion buster. In 2004, Jennith experienced a walk-in merging with her higher self, the Archangel Archeia faith, that changed her life forever, moving her into a spiritual awakening where spirit gifted her with an inside-out understanding of the twin flame dynamic and how it relates to coming into union with all aspects of self. That's why we're so excited to have her on our show today. She's exceptionally talented. You can read her full bio on our Facebook page. I want to get right into our topic for today because it's such an in-depth one, and she's got so much knowledge to share with us. You can find Jennith at archeia.net, and again, all of this is on our Facebook page as well. And you can also find her on, you can reach out to her at her private email, ladyjennith@gmail.com. And welcome, Reverend Jennith Lynn, to our show today. We are so excited to have you to talk about the twin flame union.
Welcome, Jennith.
Hi, guys. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Yes, well, Jennith, you have just a wealth of knowledge. It's no joke when you said Spirit gifted you the understanding of the twin flame dynamic, because there's so much information out there. I think people are intrigued with the topic of the twin flame and understanding it at greater levels. We're going to be going into break here in about 2 minutes, but why don't we start off with talking about your initiation, so to speak, into this area with the walk-in merging of your higher self. What does that mean? What happened in that process?
Yes. A long story short, because it's hard to shorten the story much, but I did have a walk-in experience with my higher self, Archeia Faith, in 2004, and at that time, that was actually when the twin flame journey began for me, but I was not at all aware of it. I didn't become aware that I was on the journey until several years later, and then all of this, all of these pieces fell into place, and I began to understand what had been happening to me. But in 2004, I was in a really bad place emotionally.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive, dedicated community.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
Are you seeking answers to life questions? Would you like to connect to a departed loved one? Are you suffering from pain, stress, or anxiety? Kimberly Thalkin is a tested, certified, and professional psychic, spiritual medium, energy healer, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Love First, where life transformations happen. Love First services support, guide, and empower individuals by connecting them to their highest potential to live a healthier, joyful, and meaningful life that's filled with purpose. All services can be done by phone, Skype, or in person in Encino, California. Please visit lovefirst.info. That's LOVEFIRST.info for more information.
There are many sounds in your daily life. Ones that make you smile. Ones that help you relax. And there are some sounds that can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you critical information about emergencies in your area. With updates from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim and our special guest today, the Reverend Jennith Lynn, as we continue our conversation on the topic of twin flames. Sorry, we had a technical glitch earlier, so we are going to continue right where we left off. Jennith, do you want to continue with your story of what the experience was like for you when you had a walk-in merging with your higher self, what that means?
Absolutely. Okay. So for anybody who's not familiar with a walk-in, what that means, essentially that is when another soul you have contracted or agreed to, sometimes you switch places in the body. Sometimes you actually have more of a soul merge or braid. It can happen in a number of ways. Normally people think of leaving the body as something that happens at the time of death, which is true, but that's not the only way that this happens. And so, as I was saying, in 2004, I had this experience of walk-in where my higher self, this other aspect of me, came into my body. And when this happened, it catalyzed, my entire life fell apart. My grandfather passed away. I lost my job. I was married at the time. I ended up getting a divorce right after that. And I ended up meeting somebody who, unbeknownst to me, it was the first time I had actually experienced what many people think of as the twin flame connection. So this, essentially it set me on a process of extreme ego shedding. I was really, going through a lot of my ego just kind of being pummeled at that point, so that I could be prepared for what was coming next. And so in 2008, I met somebody online who instantly catalyzed me. And again, I didn't know consciously that I was having any sort of spiritual experience at the time. I was very unaware and unaware of myself and unawake at that point in my life. And but I was instantly catalyzed by this person, and we connected on and off. And for anybody who is familiar with twin flames, they're going to start to recognize this story already, because there's a lot of information out there about twin flames. And, it's wonderful. It's very helpful. When I first began my journey, there was not much information about twin flames at all. And so it is wonderful, but it is also very confusing, and it can lead people to get very stuck. And this is where what I'm about to get into here shortly is the dogma aspect of the twin flames. So in 2008, I had this experience where I met this person who I recognized that something different was happening, something intense that I had not experienced before, that led to, further ego shedding. And then in 2009, that's when I was introduced to the term twin flames, and I began, I realized something in me clicked, and I understood that that's what was happening with me. And so that began my journey through the dogma, where spirit, I went through it. I went through all of the rules, the signs, the symptoms, and all of it, to a point where then spirit brought me out of that dogma so that I could understand what the twin flame truly is and the purpose of it, beyond a romantic aspect, because most people, that's where they get stuck, is the romantic aspect, and that is wonderful and, valid and not without purpose and merit, but there's so much more to this connection than just the romantic aspect.
Yes. Well, isn't that the truth? I think people think, oh, I just, my twin flame, how romantic is that? The love of my life. But boy, I tell you what, it's much more involved than that on many, many different levels. So why don't we start by to the audience, what is the twin flame? What does it mean?
Okay. The twin flame, in truth, is you. The twin flame is your soul, your energy, as reflected back through others. It's not a random thing that happens. It's not just anybody who can reflect this energy strongly enough to be recognized and considered as a twin. And truthfully, I don't even like to use the word twin flame anymore, because I find it limiting. The word twin itself denotes duality. It's one of two. So with this twin flame is you. It's your soul, your energy. And, you have agreed before incarnation to experience yourself through other people in this way that is, much stronger than you have previously experienced. We reflect, we mirror with everybody who we come into relationship or have encounters with. But with the twin flame, it's they show you everything. They show you everything about you, everything that you love, everything that you hate, everything that you are ashamed of, everything that that you may have buried away and just not dealt with. And the whole point of it is to bring all of that stuff to the surface for it to be recognized and dealt with. And where a lot of people get stuck is, the way that it manifests for most people in the beginning is that that love, that tremendous feeling of love, because that's the way that people, that's how they are reached. That's how spirit reaches down to them and touches them and gets through, is through that feeling of tremendous love when they first make that connection with somebody. And then, from there, everything just, for a lot of people, and it's not a bad, I don't mean to make it sound scary or bad, but from there, a lot of times it goes to hell.
That's why I'm laughing. It's not funny, but I'm laughing because I was going to see where you were going to take that next.
Yeah, that's I don't ever intend to scare anybody, and I don't want to say that, it's going to be a bad experience, but that's what happens, and that is what's purpose. That's exactly with me. I had to go through my life falling apart, and I had to go through all of these things that were perceived as bad things for me to actually come into union with myself and realize the ways that I had hidden myself away and the ways that I hadn't loved myself and that I hadn't been showing up for myself in life. And so, it's a very profound journey into yourself, know thyself. That is something that, you find in, religious texts, and these sorts of wisdoms, they're found in all religious texts, and the twin flame is just another path. It's another, I've even referred to it as the twin flame religion before, because that's exactly what it turned into. I watched it turn into that. I watched, like as I said before, when I first started on this journey, there was very little information, and there was, and over the course of, those years where I was active in fake groups on Facebook, and I was digging into, information and learning as much as I possibly could, I watched the dogma form. I watched how certain rules and how certain, all these basically I like to call it the twin flame rule book popped up, and to where anybody who had an experience outside of that was literally ostracized. They were met with derision and just, anger. And that I've come to understand that is people being triggered, which that's part of my role, is I'm that one, and I'm not the only one. There are others out there who are like me, who have had, what I like to say, non-textbook twin flame experiences, who are here for that same purpose, to help people evolve a little bit more, open up a little bit more beyond what they think it's about. Because yes, it's about the romance, and yes, it's all of those things, but it is so much more. It's about the romance with yourself, and the more that you love yourself, and the more that you honor yourself as a unique spiritual being in all parts of you, not just one part, not just the one part that you see in a one person who reflects your twin energy, but all parts. And, the more that you do this inner work and learn to love and honor yourself, the more that inner state of being is reflected into the relationships around you. And this is how we actually come into union with ourselves, and then we reflect that twin flame relationship. We just draw it to us naturally. So it's not about any one person or any one body or any, that's the attachment that most people get caught up on, as they become attached in that dualistic sense to a person, not realizing that the journey is actually all about them.
So, yeah, it's a very intricate kind of dynamic here to even try and explain in words. Does everyone meet their twin flame in their lifetime?
Not everybody. That doesn't mean that they don't have a twin flame. That doesn't mean that they aren't one. It just means that they are not in this lifetime, this particular lifetime, that is not what they are meant to experience. And that's something else that many people don't take into consideration, is it is not just about one lifetime. It is about all aspects of you and all lifetimes, all dimensions. So it's a hard topic to put into words, just like you said, because I can understand this on a soul level, and it's the trying to translate it out that becomes difficult. And a lot of times you'll find that people will share the same sort of information, but it's just very wordy, I guess. And I notice I can find myself falling into that too, but it becomes hard to understand.
What about can one meet their twin flame in multiple lifetimes?
Yes, absolutely. There really is no limit to the experience. The only limit that there is the limitations that you place upon it, and that includes, what you came here to do during this lifetime. So if you are here to experience, something other than that sort of union in this lifetime, then that's what you're going to experience. It doesn't make what you are experiencing in this lifetime any less. It doesn't make the twin flame any better. It is what it is. That's what you are here to experience in this moment of now. And so that's what I always stress to people, is to just set aside the labels. The labels really, they serve to help us understand and communicate verbally and to share our stories, but they can also get us stuck because your relationships with what people term as soulmates are just as important as the twin flame. You can have, that sort of a love with anybody once you attain that state within. It's not something that is limited. That sort of love, I should say, is not something that is limited to the twin flame experience. The twin flame experience is it's a path that some people are here to walk who have had, all these myriad of experiences in other lifetimes, and it is now time for them to come into conscious union with all of those aspects in this lifetime.
Oh, my goodness. Where do we go from there? Okay. It's just so much dense, meaty information. Okay. Yeah. So, and on that note, we are heading into our second break. We'll be back in 2 minutes as we continue on with this amazing conversation on the topic of twin flames. Stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Have you wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Sparky the Fire Dog here. Protect your family from fire. Make sure your home has smoke alarms in every bedroom, outside your sleeping areas, and on every level of your home, even your basement. For games and activities, go to sparky.org.
We want to keep you, your family, and your community safer from fire. This message brought to you by the National Fire Protection Association and your local fire department. Visit sparky.org.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. I'm so glad this 2 minutes went by quickly because we've got a ton of material to go through on the favorite topic of twin flames. Welcome back, Reverend Jennith Lynn, our special guest today, an expert in the area of the twin flame union. So, Jennith, before we went to break, we were talking, of course, about this very intricate union. Yeah. Let's talk about what happens when you meet your twin flame? What happens? There's so much that happens, but I'll let you go ahead and talk about it. There's so much that happens, but essentially and I'm going to try to touch on multiple levels here because there are multiple levels where you have an effect. On a soul level, when you meet your twin flame, whether you recognize it or not, because one of the myths out there floating around is that you'll see it. A lot of people say, well, you just know. Well, when you meet your twin flame, you just know. But that's not always true because the depths of you knowing
is as deeply as you know yourself. So if somebody is deep in shadow, they may not necessarily recognize the other person as their twin flame. So for the twin who recognizes, though, well, I should say, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. There's, on the soul level, there's this it catalyzes you into spiritual growth, whether you are aware of it or not. So that doesn't matter. Awareness actually does not matter at all when it comes to the twin flame journey. If you're on it, you're on it, whether you know you are or not.
It's too bad. There you go.
Yes, too bad. You're on it. You're there. There's no getting off this roller coaster. It's just a matter of when and how you become aware of it. And then for the twin who is aware, it's like instant recognition. Like you've known this person forever. There's, no awkwardness. It's just instant kinship, instant love, just tremendous love, a love that the type that you've never really felt before. For most people, that's it. That's the ticket that kind of gets them stuck, and it's not a bad thing, but it is because they've never experienced that sort of depth of love before that they become attached to the person in the body. But you feel these, and then most people will have things in their life will just start to go haywire. Things that no longer serve them will start to fall away, which can be absolutely terrifying, especially for somebody who is deeply stuck in the ways of ego and very, attached to materialistic things or their own false beliefs about themselves and just in general. You'll have a lot of telepathy, which can happen in a number of forms. And again, that the depth at which you recognize these sorts of things is also, it depends on how much you know yourself, how aware you are of yourself on, a spirit level as far as your gifts. Everybody has natural gifts. It's just whether they know that and whether they utilize them. You'll have where you meet in dreams. You'll, see them in dreams. You'll meet up in dreams. Synchronicities, which is just, all the little ways that spirit speaks to us in messages. You'll see their name everywhere, certain number sequences. I mean, there's just so many, and it's like an explosion. It's, you meet this person, and even when you are completely spiritually unaware, these things start happening, and that's kind of the point. Is it so profound and in your face that you cannot ignore it? And this is how spirit wakes people up. This is spirit saying, hello, I'm showing you yourself. I want you to wake up, and I want you to know yourself. I want you to remember who you are. And so that, it begins with the twin flame, with this person, but by no means does it end there.
Now, so Jennith, what about the timing of when you meet your twin flame? I mean, you say you meet them and everything goes awry. That sounds lovely.
Oh, it is.
Sign me up. No. But in all beautiful ways, really, because you can find beauty in even the things that feel very uncomfortable, mm-hmm. if you can get yourself to a place where you can recognize it, I think. Yes, but what about the significance behind the timing of when you meet your twin flame? Is there a significance behind that?
It is. It's preordained. You agreed to have this experience, and so, whenever it happens, when it happens for you is exactly when you wanted it to happen for you. So it is significant, and it is also significant the number of ways that the connection manifests. Because, for some people, when I say it's not attached to the one, I in no way mean to invalidate those people who have an experience with just one twin flame, because that is a very valid experience. I am here to broaden people's horizons and help them to see that is a valid experience, but all experiences are valid. And so, whatever your particular experience is of it and the timing of it, like for me, it took me a while. It went from, and it happened in different steps, and it was, kind of like 4 years apart. For other people, especially now that we are in a time where we're supported on moving through things much more quickly than before, I see people that kind of like fly through this stuff with ease. And I see that is a large part of my purpose in sharing this message, is to help people not get stuck and to not fly, because yes, it's purposeful, the timing of it and how long it takes, but that doesn't mean that everybody has to get stuck for years and years and years and have this, just I don't mean to say terrible, but it does seem, I've seen people struggle, and it can be very terrible for some people. And it's almost like the proportion of how difficult the experience is related to how much they hold on and how much, they don't let themselves relax back into that. The way I say it, just what you were saying about becoming comfortable with the unknown, that's exactly what I tell people all the time is the chaos is not bad. The chaos is actually the feminine at her raw primal power. And so you want to be able to just relax back into that chaos, which sounds completely insane to most people, but just relax into the chaos and into the unknown and have faith that Spirit is guiding you where you're supposed to be.
Now, let me ask this, and I'm sure we've already knocked a few people off their chairs with just what has been said so far about the experience can be terrible. Mm-hmm. Wait, what? This is the twin flame. It's supposed to be, magnificent. And it is. I guess it just depends on how you choose to perceive things and the way in which you work through the experience. But when twin flames meet, does that mean that they are supposed to be together in this lifetime?
No, not necessarily. Many times when twins meet, it's because they are supposed to catalyze one another so that both of them can, go through the next stage of spiritual evolution. And then it is very common to find that once they do make that shift, or in a lot of cases, one will shift and the other will not, they will find that they are no longer in alignment. And so at that point, it does, it can become a challenge for some people to just let it go, not to let the connection go and not to let the love go, but to let their expectations go and just let Spirit take the lead on what's going to happen next. Because sometimes they are supposed to be together, and this is like the tricky part of where you get into it, is that that's what most people want to know. That's what they want you to tell them is, am I going to be with this person forever? And I can't always give them that answer. Actually, more times than not, Spirit will not give me that answer because there are so many possibilities of how it could play out that I don't know. It comes down, you are creating your reality, so what do you want? And that's where people, I want this person, I want this. And it's like, but think bigger than that. Expand from that. What do you want? Focus on the love and the connection and just let go of the rest. And Spirit will make it happen. So sometimes it will happen that person all of a sudden will have their own tremendous spiritual awakening, and then they'll be on the same page as you. You can also experience it as, a walk-in where that soul is going to walk in, to just kind of like how it's happened with me, where another piece of you will walk into another body, and then you'll go through it. Kind of the same thing happens all over again if you encounter another twin. It's the same process. So, you get catalyzed and you go through all this stuff, and it's not traumatic every time. The most, when we talk about the terrible, it's what's terrible about it is honestly dealing with your own shadow. Most people are unaware of the depths of their light and their darkness. And so it's coming to understand your own shadow and your darkness is what people struggle with and what they, perceive as terrible simply because they resist. And it's more, that's what we're hardwired to do in the human brain is to resist these things.
Mm-hmm. Right, we want it nice and comfortable, right?
Yes, and it's not always like that. When you think about just relationships in general, though, no relationship is perfect. No relationship is without challenge. And the thing with the twin is that twin reflects you. You have such an intense dynamic that even the smallest of things can set you, it sets things off. It sets off reactions. It sets off hurt, and you have to understand that these things that are being set off are, they're all stuff from your past. It could be, from this lifetime when you were a child. It could be from other lifetimes. It could be a combination of the two because we carry patterns from lifetime to lifetime. So, the reason why it's so intense, and the same with the love, is that when you connect with them, you see what you love in them, and it's so intense, but it's also on the opposite side of the coin, when you come into contact with your own shadow in them, it's just as intense. So that's where, that's part of the terrible is when people don't understand that and they kind of agonize over it and they think that they're doing something wrong when they have troubles with twin, and that's not true. And then also when their life starts to fall apart and they think they're doing something wrong, and that's not true, because that's actually Spirit answering your prayers. You asked us to bring you into alignment with your true self, so that's what we're doing. We're helping you shed everything that doesn't belong and doesn't serve anymore. So it seems terrible.
Careful what you ask for.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Be careful what you wish for, because Spirit will give it to you. That's where you learn self-mastery, and eventually it's not terrible at all anymore. It's amazing and it's wonderful, because you are in flow and you're playing with the universe and you're no longer fighting against it. So it's not like, that's like what I try to stress to people is, yes, it's challenging, but it doesn't have to be this terrible, horrible, heart-wrenching experience. I don't ever want to anybody away from it.
Right. But now what happens, when the twin appears? It's like it's not going to be at a convenient time for you. You might be in a relationship, they might be in a relationship, both might be married, one might be married. And then everything, you meet this person and everything gets shaken up a bit. And how are you supposed to, I think a lot of people but probably think, well, am I supposed to leave this relationship and be with my twin, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people do, and there are a lot of twin flame teachers, if you want to call that's what I call that, out there who that's exactly what they advise too. It's like, oh, you met twin, well, it's time for you to leave your family and leave everything behind. Again, that's not always true. A lot of times, it's to help you see the things in your life that are not working. That's what it is. You see these things that are no longer working, and it brings them to your attention. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's time to let it go, which I can get into that a little bit more when we come back.
Okay. So let's do that. We're heading into our last break of the show. Stay with us. In 2 minutes, we'll continue the conversation with our special guest, the Reverend Jennith Lynn.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
America's service members and veterans are strong, forged out of bravery, sacrifice, and duty. Sometimes reaching out for help can be the most challenging and worthwhile mission of all. When you recognize something isn't right, make the call to the Veterans Crisis Line or Military Crisis Line. Dial 1-800-273-8255 and press 1.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio. Our very special guest, Lady Jennith Lynn. We cut right to the break there, Jennith. Let's finish your thought on whether or not to leave ones in current relationships for their twin, to stay married, how that all works. Gotcha. And then I also want to make sure that we get to your information so folks that want to work with you, because you're out in Ohio, OHIO, right?
Yes, Ohio.
I'm in Ohio. All right. So we want to make sure that folks can look you up and find the information out in Ohio. But yeah, let's finish that thought because the end of the show goes by really quick.
Okay. You should never just up and leave, your family, your husband, your relationship when you meet the twin flame. Some people, that is what they are supposed to do. The twin flame comes around, and it can be very inconvenient. But on a soul level, it's perfect because it's when you need to make some major changes in your life. But that doesn't necessarily mean that just leaving your life behind is the change you're supposed to make. For some people, maybe they're just supposed to step more into their power. Maybe they're supposed to speak their truth. Maybe, there are a number of things that it could be that they are supposed to look at in their own life. Mm-hmm. And the attachment to the romantic aspect and to, this whole idea of the one is where people get caught up in, and this is the dogma that I was speaking of before, where they get caught up in, this is my one, so therefore I am supposed to leave my husband or my, and what happens is they'll run off and do that, but they haven't actually dealt with the internal issues. So, if somebody goes off to be with their twin or anybody, they're just going to continue to repeat the dysfunction within them with that person until, it's dealt with. So, for some people, yes, they are supposed to leave their relationship if they're in an unhealthy relationship, but not everybody. And that's kind of the benefit where it can come into it can be beneficial to speak to somebody like me who understands the multidimensionality of the connection and that it really is not limited at all the way that people think that it is.
And so it doesn't have to be about romance. It doesn't have to be about sex. It could also be of the same sex, correct? You could actually have a male, female, be your twin flame, correct?
Absolutely. What you normally find is that one twin will embody the masculine essence and one will embody the feminine essence. And, on the other side, when we're whole, our soul, we don't have gender, but for the purpose of this dualistic experience, we come in as masculine or feminine energies. Those energies have nothing whatsoever to do with gender. So it can, you can absolutely have same-sex twins, and I know quite a few myself, and there's people out there who say that that's also part of the dogma. There are people who say that can't happen. It's like, nope, it happens. I have people say that, what I said the entire time here today about it being, happening with more than one person who will insist that that can't happen, and that, you get a lot of, if you don't understand what it means until you've experienced it. And I'm like, yes, I do, because I went all the way through it, and I have met several people. This has happened to me. I'm not just talking about this from a conceptual standpoint. I'm walking my talk. Yeah. This has happened to me so that I could share my experience with others, and so that they, there's a lot more people out there with these non-textbook twin experiences than people realize. Just a lot of them have been afraid to speak up. It's almost like modern day witch hunts. And it's been like that for me on more than one occasion where I've triggered somebody and it's turned into like a modern day witch hunt. And so it is a very real, that energy. It's also, related to past life, that energy of that persecution and religious, it's very strong within this dynamic. That's a whole nother show, But that people don't realize that it is actually, it is that important of a path that it's become a major path for people enough to have developed its own, groups and rules and whatnot. But
yeah. So for real quick for inspired listeners, how can they get in touch with you? Where are you located as far as Facebook, website?
Gotcha. You can find me online at my website is archeia.net. That is ARCHEIA.net. And for people who have no idea what that means, because most people don't, that is the feminine aspect of Archangel. So I am Archeia Faith. I am the feminine aspect of Archangel Michael. He is the one who woke me up. And so that's my website.
Those darn angels.
Yeah. How dare they?
How dare them?
So, but you can find me there. I do offer a number of readings, sessions, and healings. And I am looking, I'll be expanding on those services as I go forward. You can also find me on Facebook at my page, facebook.com, Archeia Lady Faith. And there's also links to that from my website as well. And I also have a private group on Facebook called Illumined Soul Sacred Union. So if you just go on Facebook and type that into the search bar, you should pop that up. You can connect with me any of those ways, and also by email, ladyjennith@gmail.com. I'm not picky. However you want to reach out, just reach out, and I'd be more than happy to speak with you and see how I can help.
Perfect. And we've gone ahead and posted all of your information on our Inspired Living Radio Facebook page. So I think for the sake of time, because, again, the show goes by so quick when we're getting so much information. That's why we love doing the show and the Wisdom Wednesdays. But we do have a question that did come in from one of our Inspired listeners. And I think it'd be good for the Inspired community to see how you work when you get these types of questions, because I'm sure when it comes to the twin flame phenomenon, or I know that you don't like to use the word twin because it limits it, but she is asking to see how you want to work. Her name is Margaret from Vancouver, Canada, and she says, I've met my twin flame and the connection was amazing, but now my twin flame has backed away. I'm wondering what my twin feels about me. And is my twin gone for good as a relationship, possibly even though we both still acknowledge the constant connection that doesn't seem to go away?
Okay. Give me just a moment here. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull a card and see what I get for that.
Now, do you have a certain deck that you work with angel cards?
Yes, I actually, the deck that I'm using right now is Doreen Virtue's Angel Tarot cards.
Yeah.
And I like to use those in conjunction with her Fairy Tarot cards because I also, I have other aspects other than faith that I have merged with since this experience. And again, that's a whole other show. But so I work with both of those energy. I have a strong fairy energy as well. So those are the ones that I primarily work with. At this point, anyway, I find that I'm drawn to different decks. Let me see.
And again, her name is Margaret from Vancouver, Canada, but she only gave me just the one name.
Okay. No, that's perfect. That's all I need. Okay. Immediately what I was getting before I even pulled the card, and the card that I pulled was King of Water. Okay. And the King of Water asks you to open your heart and mind to those around you. It says trustworthy and heartfelt advice. So before I even pulled the card, I was feeling very strongly that this is a time for Margaret to go within. So Margaret, I know you're listening. I'll talk directly to you. So the angels are around you. They want you to not take this withdrawal of twin as a bad thing. What's happening is he is withdrawing in order to allow you the focus on yourself to go deeper within. So Spirit wants you to connect with your guides and angels more. They want you to get a little bit more acquainted with your own gifts, because everybody has them. So, learn how Spirit communicates with you so that you can start to get your own answers. And this is an absolutely normal. I find that most people that I connect with, this is what Spirit wants from them. It wants from me is to help them go deeper into themselves in some way. So this doesn't surprise me at all that this is the message that is coming through, that not to give up on the relationship, not to give up on twin, to just kind of loosen your grip a little bit, shift your focus back to you and to the messages that are coming through you, because Spirit is trying to communicate with you. There are 3 tips that I can give you that will help you to open up the lines of communication a little bit more. It's very easy. It doesn't have to be a long, rigorous spiritual practice. Just take some time every day to number 1, ask your guides and angels to stay with you 24/7, guiding and protecting you. This kind of gets around where many people will just forget to ask for help. So if you make a point every day, say, please stay with me 24/7, guiding and protecting me, you've just given them permission to intervene at any time. The second part is you want to ask them to deliver messages to you in ways that you will easily receive and understand, because everybody receives messages differently. And so Spirit could be trying to reach you, but you're just not seeing it. It's really important, and this is part of knowing yourself as part of the journey, as the twin journey, is to know yourself enough to know how Spirit is communicating to and through you. And then the third part is to ask your guides and angels to deliver messages as many times as you need to receive it and to take action on it, because receiving it is a challenge for some people, and then for a lot of people, taking action is a struggle because they're really stubborn, and I am guilty as charged. So, just those three things, when you do that, you will notice that Spirit will start to speak to you more clearly and more directly, and you'll start to get more direct guidance on what's going on with twin and you. You don't want to focus too much on twin, but yes, you can. This is to help you in all areas of your life. And I definitely do recommend to anybody who is kind of going through this to reach out to somebody who you resonate with, whether it's me or whether it's somebody else. There are many wonderful people out there, and whoever you resonate with is the one for you. So just go with it. Go with how it feels, but definitely make it a priority to help you understand what's going on, because that's a form of self-love. That's what we're here for, number one, but it's a form of self-love and care to invest in yourself in that way. So I would definitely recommend that for Margaret if she feels further, drawn, and anybody out there who's going through it, because I know exactly what it's like. And I've, for most of my journey, it's been self-guided, self-directed, but I have reached out myself. There are a few people that I did exactly that. I reached out to the people I was guided to and that I resonated with, and those people have all proven to be invaluable to me.
Yeah, it's very important. So find those people, find your mentors.
Yes, find your tribe.
Go with it. Find your soul tribe, definitely. And you've definitely found your soul tribe here on Inspired Living Radio, Jennith. And we just want to thank you so much for being our very special guest, letting us see how you work. Helping with the twin flames. Margaret up in Canada, hopefully that helps. Take those steps that Jennith was just talking about and see if that makes a difference in your life.
Wonderful, thank you. It was great.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get you back in 2017. We'll have this conversation
I'd love
continue in more depth. So thank you again for listening today to Inspired Living Radio. We love our inspired listeners all around the world. Thank you so much, guys. Next week, we're going to have a very fun show. Kelly Fox is going to be our special guest on astrology and relationships. Don't want to miss that. So until then, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Namaste.